I built our company from $20 million to $8 billion. But one day, my husband brought his mistress in and announced, "She will be our new CEO, and you'll serve as her personal secretary." He was unaware that I owned 80% of the company's shares. I planned a shocking surprise for the next shareholder meeting. I smoothed my skirt and took a deep breath before pushing open the heavy oak door to Tyler's new office. The sign on the door, "Tyler Perry, President," still looked shiny and new. My husband glanced up from his computer, looking stressed. "Mary, I'm really busy." "What is it?" he said, barely looking up. I forced a smile. "The Henderson account files are ready for you to review, and the staff meeting starts in 10 minutes. Tyler waved his hand, brushing it off. "Cancel it. I have more important things to do." "But, Tyler, everyone's been working hard all week to get ready for this meeting. They're expecting you to be there." I said, "Cancel it." He snapped, his eyes still on the computer. "That's an order, not a request." I held back my frustration and nodded quickly before leaving the room. As I closed the door, I saw Tyler's reflection in the window. He was already focused back on his work, not noticing how hurt I felt. In the hallway, I leaned against the wall, trying to calm my racing heart. This didn't feel like the Tyler I married. The man I loved used to be passionate about architecture and cared deeply for his team. Now, with this new title, it seemed like he was letting it all go to his head. "Everything okay, Marys?" I looked up to see Scott, Tyler's father, watching me with concern. Even though he was retired, he still visited the office regularly. I straightened up, forcing another smile. "Of course, it's just a busy morning. How are you, Scott?" He looked at me closely. "I'm fine, but you don't look okay. What's Tyler done now?" I hesitated, feeling torn between staying loyal to Tyler and my growing frustration. "It's nothing really. Tyler's just adjusting to his new role." Scott's expression grew serious. "Adjusting or letting it go to his head?" Before I could answer, Tyler's voice boomed from his office. "Mary, where are those files?" I grabbed the folder from my desk and gave Scott an apologetic look. "Duty calls." As I went back into Tyler's office, he barely looked up. Finally, "Just leave them there and close the door on your way out." "Tyler," I said, gathering my courage. "The team really needs you at this meeting. They've worked hard on." He slammed his hand on the desk. "For God's sake, Mary, I'm the president now. I decide what's important. Not you, or anyone else." "Got it." I flinched, stunned by his outburst. "I'm just trying to help, Tyler. This company means everything to your father, and I promised him I'd—" "My father isn't in charge anymore," Tyler interrupted, his tone icy. "I am. And if you can't handle that, maybe you shouldn't be here either." His words felt like a slap. I looked at him, searching for any trace of the man I'd fallen in love with, but all I saw was a stranger, lost in power and pride. "Fine," I whispered. I said quietly, "I'll cancel the meeting." As I turned to leave, Tyler's phone buzzed. He answered it, and his voice changed instantly to a smooth, charming tone. "Carol, darling." "Yes, I can't wait for our business lunch. See you soon," he said. My hand froze on the door handle. "Carol." I didn't know the name, but the way he said it sent a chill down my spine. I glanced back and saw a sly smile on his face before he noticed me looking. "What?" he snapped. "Don't you have work to do?" I nodded without saying a word and quickly left his office, my mind spinning. Outside, our team's disappointed faces met me as I announced the meeting was canceled, but their frustration was nothing compared to the worry growing in my chest. Who is Carol, and what kind of business lunch made my husband smile like that? As I sat down at my desk, I realized with a sinking feeling that both my marriage and the company might be facing a storm we weren't ready for. The next morning, I arrived early, determined to fix what I could from yesterday. As I walked through the office, I could feel the tension in the air. Conversation stopped as I passed, replaced by forced smiles and awkward nods. "Morning, Mary," Evelyn, our lead designer, called out. "Any news on rescheduling the meetings?" I hesitated, torn between being honest and being careful with my words. "I'm working on it, Evelyn." "Tyler's still adjusting to his new role." Evelyn raised an eyebrow. "Adjusting? Is that what we're calling it now?" Before I could respond, Tyler's voice boomed from his office. "Mary." "My office now." I hurried to his door, bracing myself. He was pacing his frustration clear. "What the hell is this?" he asked, shoving a stack of papers at me. I looked at the top sheet and felt my heart drop. It was a formal complaint from the design team, mentioning Tyler's absence from key meetings and delays in project approvals. "Tyler, they're just frustrated. If we could set up a meeting to talk about their concerns." "Their concerns?" he interrupted, scoffing. "I'm running a business, not a daycare. If they can't handle the pressure, they can leave." "But, Tyler, these are your father's most trusted employees. They've been with the company for years." His eyes flashed with anger. My father isn't in charge anymore. I am. And I won't let a bunch of whiny designers question my authority. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. Tyler, please. This doesn't feel like you. What's really going on? For a moment, I saw a flicker of the old Tyler, vulnerable, unsure, but it was gone as quickly as it appeared. Nothing's going on, he snapped. Just do your job and keep them in line. That's what I'm paying you for, isn't it? His words hurt more than he realized. I wasn't just another employee. I thought I was Tyler's partner, his wife. But now, I wasn't so sure. Just as I was turning to leave, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and a sly smile spread across his face. I'm heading out for lunch. Hold my calls, he said. But, Tyler, we have the client meeting at 2, I reminded him. Reschedule it, he said, already halfway out the door. I watched him go, feeling a knot form in my stomach. This wasn't just about work anymore. Something felt very wrong. Back at my desk, I threw myself into damage control, dealing with upset clients and calming frustrated staff. By the afternoon, I was exhausted and on edge. A gentle knock on my cubicle startled me. I looked up to see Scott, his face filled with concern. Mary, dear, got a minute? I nodded, grateful for the break. Scott sat across from me, his eyes kind but serious. I've been hearing things, he said softly, about Tyler. About how he's running the company. I swallowed, unsure of what to say. Scott had put his life's work into this company and trusted Tyler to lead it. How could I tell him it was falling apart? Scott, I started, but he raised a hand to stop me. You don't have to protect him, Mary, not from me. I've known something was wrong for a while now. I hoped he'd grow into the role. Tears stung my eyes. I don't know what to do, I whispered. He won't listen to me. He's pushing everyone away. Scott reached across the desk, squeezing my hand. We'll figure this out, Mary, together. This company, this family, it means everything to me. I won't let Tyler destroy it. Just then, Tyler's voice boomed through the office. Where the hell is everyone? Don't we have work to do? Scott and I shared a look. The storm was far from over. I stood ready to face whatever mess Tyler had caused this time. Scott's words, together, echoed in my mind. For the first time in weeks, I felt a small glimmer of hope. But as I rounded the corner, I saw Tyler standing there, his tie crooked and a smudge of lipstick on his collar. That glimmer of hope vanished. The man I loved was slipping away, and I felt powerless to stop it. Later, I trudged up the driveway, exhausted from another day of trying to keep things together at the office. All I wanted was a hot bath and a glass of wine. But as I reached for my keys, the front door swung open. A stunning blonde stepped out, her lipstick slightly smudged, and her blouse buttoned carelessly. She froze when she saw me, her eyes widening for a moment before she quickly recovered. Oh, you must be Mary, she said smoothly. I'm Carol, Tyler's consultant. My world spun. Carol, the name from Tyler's phone call. The lipstick on his collar. It all came together with painful clarity. Consultant, I managed to speak, my voice barely above a whisper. Carol's lips curled into a sly smile. Oh, yes, Tyler and I have been working very closely together. He's quite the visionary, you know? Before I could respond, Tyler appeared in the doorway, his face pale. Mary, you're home early, he stammered. I searched his face for any sign of guilt or remorse, but all I saw was panic and calculation. Carol was just leaving, he said quickly, guiding her toward her car. They exchanged a knowing glance before she drove off, leaving me alone with a man I suddenly felt I didn't know at all. I brushed past Tyler and went inside, my mind racing. He followed, already trying to explain himself. Mary, it's not what you think. Carol's just helping with some new projects. We were brainstorming ideas. I turned to him, my voice rising. Don't lie to me, Tyler. Not now. He hesitated, his confidence crumbling. I didn't mean for this to happen. It just did. It just happened, I said, my voice shaking. Like you just happened to ignore your responsibilities at work? Like you just happened to treat our employees, our friends, like they don't matter? Tyler's face hardened. You don't understand the pressure I'm under. Dad left me with shoes I can't fill. I'm doing the best I can. By having an affair? By dragging the company down? I shot back. He stopped. Frustration etched on his face. Look, things got complicated, but I can fix this. We can fix this. I let out a bitter laugh. We? There is no we anymore, Tyler. You made sure of that. As I said it, I realized it was true. Whatever we had, our marriage, our partnership, was gone, shattered by his betrayal and my own blind trust. Just then, Tyler's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, looking torn. It's Carol, isn't it? I said quietly. He didn't deny it. Mary, please let me explain. But I was done listening. Done making excuses for him, I grabbed my keys and headed for the door. "Where are you going?" Tyler called after me. "Away from you," I replied. "I need to think." As I drove through the dark streets, tears blurred my vision. How had it come to this? The man I loved, the life we built, it was all crumbling around me. My phone rang, and Scott's name flashed on the screen. I hesitated, then answered. "Mary, are you all right? You left the office so quickly," he said, his voice full of concern. His kindness broke through my walls, and suddenly, everything spilled out. Tyler's affair, the state of the company, my broken heart. Scott listened silently. When I finished, he spoke softly. "Oh, Mary, I'm so sorry. This is my fault. I never should have put so much pressure on Tyler." "It's not your fault," I insisted. "Tyler made his own choices." "Maybe," Scott sighed. "But now we have to make ours. Come to my house. We'll figure this out together." I drove toward Scott's neighborhood, feeling a strange sense of calm. Tyler's betrayal was out in the open now, but I wasn't alone. For the first time in months, I felt a flicker of strength return. Whatever came next, I would face it head on. No more excuses. No more blind loyalty. It was time to stand up for myself and for the company that had become my second home. The next morning, I walked into the office with my head held high, ignoring the whispers and sidelong glances. My talk with Scott last night had given me a new determination, but nothing could have prepared me for what I saw as I turned the corner. In the middle of the office stood Tyler, his arm around Carol's waist. She wore a pencil skirt and blouse that looked like something I would have worn just a few months ago. "Everyone," Tyler announced, his voice loud and confident. "I'd like you to meet Carol. She'll be joining our team as a special consultant." My heart pounded as I locked eyes with Tyler. His look dared me to say something. Carol smirked, clearly enjoying her new place in the company, and by Tyler's side, Evelyn, our lead designer, was the first to speak up. "But, Mr. Perry, we already have a full team. And Mary will be helping Carol get settled," Tyler interrupted smoothly. "Won't you, dears?" All eyes turned to me. I could feel the mix of pity and curiosity from my coworkers. I took a deep breath and forced a smile, though it felt more like a grimace. "Of course," I managed. "Welcome aboard, Carol." The next few hours passed in a blur of forced smiles and hidden tension. I retreated to my office, trying to focus on work, but my mind kept circling back to Tyler's betrayal. A knock on my door pulled me from my thoughts. It was Scott, his face full of concern. "Mary, I just heard. Are you all right?" I shook my head, holding back tears. "I don't know how much more I can take, Scott. It's like Tyler is trying to hurt me in every possible way." Scott's expression turned serious. "This ends now. I'm calling an emergency board meeting. Tyler's gone too far." Before I could respond, Tyler stormed into the office, his face red with anger. "What do you think you're doing, Dad?" he snarled. "This is my company now. You can't just barge in here and enough." Scott's voice was firm, stopping Tyler mid-sentence. "You've made a joke of everything I worked so hard to build. It's time you face the consequences." Tyler's eyes narrowed. "Consequences? I'm just getting started." He reached into his jacket, pulled out an envelope, and tossed it onto my desk. "Consider this my first official act as president." With shaking hands, I opened the envelope. Inside were divorce papers already signed by Tyler. He looked at me coldly. "You're fired," I whispered, feeling disbelief and hurt wash over me. Tyler's laugh was cold. "Firing you? Oh, no, Mary. I'm setting you free from this job, from this marriage, from everything." I looked down at the papers, my whole world crumbling around me. All those years, all our dreams, reduced to a few sheets of legal words. "Tyler, please," Scott said, trying to calm him down. "Think about what you're doing. Mary has been the backbone of this company. Without her, we'll finally move forward." Tyler snapped. "Face it, Dad. Your way is outdated. Carol and I have big plans for the future." As they argued, a strange calm settled over me. I looked at the divorce papers, then up at Tyler, this stranger wearing my husband's face. At that moment, I made a decision. "I'll sign," I said quietly, cutting through their heated exchange. Both men turned to me in shock. Tyler was the first to recover, a smug smile crossing his face. "I knew you'd see reason, Mary. It's really for the best." I met his gaze steadily. "You're right, Tyler. It is for the best, but not for the reasons you think." I signed the papers, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders. Tyler might have thrown away our marriage, but I was done being a victim. "I quit," I announced, standing up. Effective immediately, Tyler's smirk faded. "What? You can't just." "I can, and I am," I said firmly. "Good luck running this company without me, Tyler. You're going to need it." As I walked out of the office, my head held high, I heard Scott call after me. "Mary, wait." I stopped and turned back. Scott's eyes held a mix of pride and determination. "I have a proposition for you," he said. "One that might just save this company and give you the fresh start you deserve." For the first time in months, I felt a spark of hope. Whatever came next, I was ready to face it on my own terms. Later, I sat across from Scott in his cozy home office, holding a warm mug of tea. The past few days swirled through my mind like a storm. "Mary," Scott began, his voice calm yet firm, "I want you to come work for my nonprofit architectural trust. We need someone with your skills and integrity." I blinked, surprised. "But, Scott, what about the company? What about Tyler?" "Tyler made his choice," Scott said, a hint of sadness in his eyes. "Now it's time for you to make yours." Just then, my phone buzzed with a text from Evelyn, SOS. "Everything's falling apart here. Tyler and Carol are running the place into the ground. We need you, Mary." My heart clenched. Despite everything, I still cared deeply about the company and the people I'd worked with for so many years. "I need some time to think," I said. I told Scott, and he nodded with understanding. "Of course. But don't take too long. We both know Tyler won't waste any time tearing down what we've built." The next morning, I took a deep breath and walked into the office one last time to clear out my desk. The atmosphere was tense, and conversation stopped as I passed. While I packed my things, Evelyn appeared at my door, her face worried. "Mary, thank God you're here. It's a mess. Tyler's canceled 4 big projects, and Carol's reassigning teams without caring about their skills. Clients are furious." "I don't work here anymore, Evelyn," I said, my voice tight. "There's nothing I can do." Evelyn's eyes went wide. "You're leaving? But what about us? What about the companies?" Before I could answer, Tyler's voice boomed from the hallway. "Mary, what are you doing here?" He marched into my office with Carol close behind, looking smug. "Just grabbing my things," I replied calmly, refusing to let him intimidate me. Tyler's eyes narrowed. "Good. The sooner you're gone, the better. Carol can more than handle your duties." I couldn't help but laugh. "Can she? Is that why clients are threatening to leave and the staff is in chaos?" Carol stepped forward, digging her manicured nails into Tyler's arm. "I'm doing an excellent job. Tyler says I'm a natural." "I'm sure he does," I replied coolly. "But running a successful architectural firm takes more than just being natural." Tyler's face reddened with anger. "Enough. Get out, Mary. You're not welcome here." As I picked up my box of belongings, a stir in the hallway caught my attention. Scott strode in, flanked by 3 board members. "What's going on?" Tyler demanded. Scott's voice was firm. "Emergency board meeting, Tyler. Your recent decisions have put this company in danger, and we're here to discuss your future as president." Tyler's confidence wavered. "You can't do this. I'm in charge now." "We'll see about that," one of the board members said, looking serious. As they headed toward the conference room, Scott looked back at me. "Mary, we could use your insights in this meeting if you're willing." I hesitated, torn between walking away from the mess and the loyalty I felt for the company I'd helped build. Tyler sneered. "She doesn't work here anymore, Dad. She has no say." Something snapped at me. I set down my box and stood tall. "Actually, I think I will stay for this meeting. Seems I'm the only one who knows how this company truly runs." Carol gasped, and Tyler stammered, but Scott smiled with pride. As we entered the conference room, I felt a surge of determination. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about protecting the legacy Scott had built and the livelihoods of everyone who worked here. Whatever came next, I was ready to fight. Not for Tyler, not for our broken marriage, but for the company and the people. I knew it was time to show everyone, especially Tyler, what I could really do. The boardroom was tense as I laid out the hard truth about the company's situation. Spreadsheets and reports filled the table, each one showing how bad things had gotten under Tyler's leadership. "In the past month alone, we've lost 3 major clients," I explained, keeping my voice steady even though my heart was racing. "Our reputation in the industry is sinking, and staff morale is at its lowest." Tyler's face turned red with anger and disbelief. "This is ridiculous. We're doing fine. Carol and I have been working on new strategies that will what?" "Tyler's?" Scott cut in, his tone sharp. "Run us further into the ground? The numbers don't lie." I watched as the board members exchanged worried looks. This was the moment, the one that would decide the company's future. Carol, who had insisted on being there, spoke up. "But Tyler's been working so hard. He's been at the office late every night coming up with new ideas." I couldn't hold back a scoff. "Is that what you call it?" "Because from where I stand, all I see is a company in trouble and a president who cares more about his personal life than his responsibilities." Tyler's eyes flashed with anger. "You don't know what you're talking about, Mary. You're just bitter because I moved on." "Moved ons." I laughed bitterly. "You destroyed our marriage, and now you're destroying this company." "That's not moving on, Tyler. That's burning everything down." Mr. David, the oldest board member, cleared his throat. I think we've heard enough. It's clear that something drastic needs to be done to save this company. Tyler's face went pale. What are you saying? I'm saying, Mr. David replied, that we need to think about new leadership, effective immediately. The room broke into chaos. Tyler started shouting, Carol began crying, and the board members argued with each other. Through it all, I sat quietly, feeling strangely calm. Then Tyler turned to me, desperation in his eyes. Mary, please, he said. You have to help me. Tell them I can fix this. Tell them we can work together again. Like before. I looked at him, the man who used to be my partner in everything. For a moment, I saw a glimpse of the old Tyler, scared, vulnerable, and asking for help. But then Carol's hand clutched his arm possessively, and reality came back to me. I'm sorry, Tyler, I said gently. But you made your choice, and now you have to live with it. Scott stood, his voice cutting through the noise. I move that we vote on Tyler's continued leadership of this company. All in favor of removing Tyler from his position as president, raise your hand. Time seemed to slow as hands went up around the table. 123. A clear majority. Tyler's face fell as he realized what was happening. This isn't fair, Carol cried out. You can't do this to us. But it was done. Tyler was out, and the company was safe for now. As the meeting ended, Scott pulled me aside. Mary, we need you. The company needs you. Will you come back and help us rebuild? I hesitated, torn between my desire to help and my wish for a fresh start. Before I could answer, Tyler approached, his eyes red and desperate. Mary, please, he begged. Don't let him do this. You know me better than anyone. You know I can fix this if you just give me one more chance. I looked between Tyler and Scott, feeling the weight of their hopes on me. The future of the company and my own hung in the balance. I realized this wasn't just about saving a business. It was about standing up for myself, for my worth, and for everything I'd worked so hard for. Taking a deep breath, I made my decision. Whatever happened next, it would change everything. Standing at the podium, I faced a room full of expectant faces. The company-wide meeting had been called to address the recent chaos, and as the new interim CEO, it was up to me to set our path forward. As many of you know, I began, keeping my voice steady despite my racing heart. The past few weeks have been challenging for our company, but today marks a new beginning. From the corner of my eye, I saw Tyler slip into the back of the room, looking tired. Carol was nowhere in sight. We've lost clients, and, yes, we've faced setbacks, I continued, but the heart of this company, the talent, dedication, and vision that each of you brings, that hasn't changed. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. I went on, explaining our plans to regain client trust and stabilize our finances. As I spoke, I could see hope returning in my colleagues' eyes. Suddenly, Tyler's voice rang out. This is all lies. Heads turned as he marched down the aisle. Mary is trying to steal my company. She planned this whole thing to push me out. Gasps and whispers filled the room. I gripped the podium, forcing myself to stay calm. Tyler, this isn't the time or place, I said quietly. It's exactly the time, he shouted, his face flushed with anger. You turned my own father against me. You manipulated the board. That's enough. Scott's voice came firmly from the side of the stage. He walked up, placing a supportive hand on my shoulder. Tyler, you did this to yourself. Your actions, your decisions, they're what brought us to this point. Tyler looked between us, desperation on his face. Dad, please. You can't let her do this. It's our family legacy. Scott's expression softened just a bit. Son, a legacy isn't just about the name on a building. It's about integrity, hard work, and doing right by our employees and clients. Mary understands that. It's time you did too. A heavy silence fell over the room. I could feel everyone's eyes on us, waiting to see how this family drama would end. Tyler's shoulders slumped, and he looked drained, as if the fight had left him. So that's it? I'm just out, he asked. I stepped away from the podium and approached him carefully. It doesn't have to be the end, Tyler. There's still a place for you here if you're willing to work for it. For a brief moment, I saw a glimpse of the man I once loved, vulnerable, unsure, but then his face hardened. I don't need your pity, Mary, or yours, Dad. I'll start my own firm. Just watch. I'll build something even bigger, even better. With that, he turned and walked out, leaving a stunned silence behind him. I returned to the podium, feeling the weight of 100 of eyes on me. This was a moment that would shape not just my role, but the future of the company. I know that was hard to see, I began, my voice a little unsteady, but it shows why we're here today. This company isn't about one person's ego or ambition. It's about all of us, working together to create something great. I paused, looking out at my colleagues.